You're listening to the official Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
From the ponds to the pros, it's time for Beyond the Pond on The Fan. Here are your hosts, Pat Micheletti and Kevin Falness.
Just a beautiful spring day in the state of hockey, and Beyond the Pond is still on the air. Kevin Falness, Pat Micheletti. How you doing, Patrick?
Good, Kevin. How are you?
Is there anything better than this time of year, especially if you have a team that's alive?
Yes.
You know, and here we are in the month of May, and the Wild is still churning, down 2-0 to the Colorado Avalanche in the best-of-7 series.
Win 4.
But, yes, you got to win 4, and the chance to start turning it around comes tonight in St. Paul with game number 3 at Grand Casino Arena, the first game of the second round coming up tonight from the capital of the state of hockey. I'm excited to see what it's going to look like tonight.
It's a critical game. I never use the word a must win, but I'm getting to that point.
I think you have to. I think tonight has to look like that.
Yeah, it really is. If you lose tonight and then beating them, 4
in a row.
Yeah.
Against probably the best team in hockey.
Yeah.
It seems like an insurmountable task. Could it be done? Sure. I don't like their chances. If you get this one tonight.
Then you change the whole complexity of the series.
For sure.
So it's really an important game. No question about it. But what's one thing that we've learned about the NHL playoffs?
They're unpredictable?
That's number one.
Okay.
Number two is that you have to be a healthy team. You just cannot afford to lose key players at this time of the year. You cannot. And you know me, Kevin, with that old adage that coaches use, next man up. Well, yeah. It's not next man up when you lose Brodin and you lose Eriksson Ek. I'm sorry. There is no next man up. Yep. If there were a next man up, that man would be already up.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean that they can't win. Don't get me wrong. You just have to go about it a different way. You can't play the same way. And I think to a certain degree, Minnesota's been caught into that a little bit. And so, I hope they tweak things a little bit tonight that will get them the win, because they weren't that far away from winning game 2.
Or game 1, for that matter. And they led the game at one point.
Yeah,
they were within a goal in the third period.
They did. You're right. Thank you for bringing that up. It's not like, oh, my God, Colorado just destroyed them and, controlled the game and blah, blah, blah. That really wasn't the case. I'm first to say, and whatever, I don't care. They gave up 3 bad goals on in the second game, and I don't. And call me crazy again. I don't think there were crazy goals or excuse me, bad goals that were given up in game 1, and there were 14 of them.
I would say
maybe a couple.
One of the hallmarks of this team all season long, and especially in the first round, has been their goaltending. Whether it be Philip Gustafsson, whether it be Jesper Wallstedt, you go from November on, and that includes the first round of the playoffs, their goaltending was not beyond a reproach. I mean, it was very good.
Yeah.
And then you get into the second round. That first game wasn't great. I mean, there were 15 goals given up, 8 by Jesper Wallstedt. So that was not a good game for the goaltending situation in Minnesota. And Philip Gustafsson was flat out not good in game number 2. Not good enough, not even close.
No.
So that's something that has to change. And I think it will. I think Jesper Wallstedt gets that mental break in game 2, comes out tonight and fires a bullet.
And it goes back to what I always preach. And, the first person we look to is the goaltender, and I'll bring you back to game 1, right? I mean, they want maybe Wallstedt's tired, maybe this, maybe that. Minnesota's game is based on good core defense, and when you get hung out to dry, you're going to give up goals.
Yep,
you are.
I agree.
And Now, in the case of Gustafson, if you looked at the goals, there were not breakdowns on the goals that were given up. They just were not. I'm not a goalie coach, but the goal that bothered me the most was the McKinnon goal on the power play, on the one-timer, and where he was located in his net.
That's the one of the 5 goals that they scored, not including 4, not including the empty netter. That's the one that bugged you the most, the 4th goal?
Yes, because he's got to be out on the top of the crease, and he was dead in the middle.
Yeah.
And so as a goal scorer, the farther the goaltender is out, the less area or vision of the net that he has. They have a hard enough time seeing the net now anyway with the size of the goaltenders and the equipment.
Yep.
But where Gustafson was located in the net when McKinnon took the shot, and they had a perfect angle from behind McKinnon, and you saw, I mean, it was like, how much net do you want?
Yeah.
And you're not going to stop McKinnon from that when he shoots it the way he does.
I mean, that one to me, if I remember correctly, I thought that might have deflected off of Trenton. Regardless, it wasn't great. The Woggle
Didn't matter. Look where he was. Yeah, the Woggle was
was marshmallow soft, and that ended up being the eventual game winner.
Yeah.
I mean, you're down 2-1 at that point, and they open up the second with that goal, and that's a deflator, you know, because they'd already scored on the power play, which is another issue.
And so early in the period, right?
So early, and it deflates you. And again, it was marshmallow soft. I don't know that I put it all on Philip Gustafson. He hadn't played in 3 weeks, but
why in the hell are you in the net? Why in the hell are you in the net?
Hadn't played in 3 weeks, and he had lost 4 of his last 6 starts, giving up 25 goals to end the regular season, which is why Jesper Wallstedt got the call anyway. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. My guess is Jesper Wallstedt was tired. I doubt that he asked to be pulled or asked to not start game 2. My guess is he wanted it. But at the same time, the body of work in game 1 showed that there was fatigue there, and it wasn't all on him.
I don't know if it was. I don't know
think
if they
so?
No, that's easy.
He gave up 8 goals.
That's easy.
He gave up 8 goals.
Yes, so what?
That's
so what?
Mentally, that's across the bear for a goaltender and who had just played a ton of hockey, big hockey against Dallas.
You know what? You can. I don't buy it. I'm sorry, I don't. If you look at the goals, and I may be the only one out there that thinks that way. I really,
yeah.
But it was a risk that going with Gustafson in game 2. And it didn't pan out.
It did not.
So that being said, those 2 games are gone. You lost them, and you got to get yourself back in the series. And they can. It's not like, oh my God, there's no chance. Of course, Minnesota.
That would be the biggest thing I would take away from those first 2 games.
Minnesota are a hell of a team that people are saying this should be the Stanley Cup final.
Yep.
They
did themselves no favors in those first 2 games. They lost both of them, but Christian Ponder, what did he say? Easily correctable, whatever. There's stuff that they can handle themselves.
Yes.
You got to shore up the special teams, and maybe these 3 days off will help them do that. And you got to be able to get some good goaltending. If they do those 2 things, then it's flip a coin. I don't think there's a ton separating these 2 teams.
They got to defend a little bit better. They've got to clog up the middle. Everyone says, oh, my God, Colorado's so fast. Well, you can make another team look fast, but you can also make another team look slow. And if people doubt me, go back and watch the LA Kings series because it was difficult.
Yeah, they clogged it up big time.
They did.
They didn't have a choice. I mean, that's the only way that they were going to contend.
And the difference, Minnesota has more offensive prowess than the LA Kings.
Yeah. They should.
By a mile.
Yeah, they should, for sure.
By a mile.
But the problem is, Colorado's doing to Minnesota what Minnesota did to Dallas, and the Boldies, the Kaprizovs, they can't break free right now.
No.
Their depth, and that's what surprised me so far through 2 games. I thought the Wild would be able to exact their strength, their dominance, with their bottom 6, if you want to call them. I thought they'd be able to flex their muscle on the McKinnons, the Landeskog's, the Kadris, and whatever. But it's been vice versa. Yep. You know, they've been the ones that have been
no doubt
exacting their will. So that's something that also has to change starting tonight.
Yeah, tonight's going to be a great game. It's going to be very emotional. It's going to be, Minnesota will come ready to play. And, this is not, get negative on the Wild, because they're going to be ready to play. Yep. And they're ticked off they lost 2. And so
they should be, because like we said, both games were within reach.
Yep.
That's what's so frustrating about it. They are down 2-0 in the series, but it's not like they're getting blown out. They have an opportunity tonight to say we're in this series, and if they don't, they're dead. Yep. That's the end of the series. I don't care what anyone tells you. You go down 0-3, you have to win tonight, and hopefully they approach it like that. Volsted's the guy tonight. They haven't announced it, but I'm assuming you agree with that? They come back with Jesper Volsted?
I would be shocked.
Volsted is in goal. It doesn't look like we're going to see Jonas Brodin anytime soon, but it seems like
we're not going to see Ek.
You don't think so?
I think it's insane to even believe that. But you got to.
He was at practice yesterday, and he spent a lot of time on the bench, and I watched him.
Spot.
I know, but I just know how he's wired. He's a robot. I know, but you're not going to be able to keep him off the ice. You could tell him you're not playing, but I think he wants to give it a go, 100%. And I can't imagine he's going to let that happen again. If he can't go, he won't go. But I think he's wired. The guy's a robot. I think he's going to be out there for the start of game number 3. I'd be shocked if he's not, but you'd be shocked if he was.
I'd be shocked if he was, but I don't know the extent of the injury either. So it's a stupid guess either way for me, because I don't know.
This is another one that annoys me. It's one thing to stand in front of an Evgeny Malkin shot and break your leg.
Right.
That one makes sense. Yeah. This one, he just blew a tire going into the boards. I went back and I watched it again. I mean, yes, his foot
crumpled. It did not look good, did it?
It didn't, but it was so nonchalant. I mean, it wasn't like someone hammered him into the board. Like McKinnon putting Boldy face first into the end boards, that would be something that I would understand. Okay, that's going to hurt, and that might leave a mark. He dusted himself off and got up. Jules Eriksson, the biggest, toughest, most rugged guy in the lineup, blows a tire, loses an edge, and goes into the boards awkwardly.
Unbelievable.
That's it. Yeah, that's what takes him out of the series.
Yeah, and sometimes you need a little luck, right? On both sides, luck without injuries and luck scoring goals and luck with your goaltenders and luck, with the officials. You need luck in this game.
It's frustrating because there's been so many times over the last 11 years where you go into the playoffs not healthy, and this year the Wild were healthy, and they looked like it against the Dallas Stars. Yeah. Now you lose Jonas Brodin, you're without Jules Eriksson. That's devastating blows to the way you want to play defensively against a high-flying Colorado Avalanche team led by Nathan McKinnon, by the way, who's a horse. The best player in hockey, and you can take your Connor McDavid and finish second in that race. That's fine. McKinnon is a man-child, and not having Brodin and not having Eriksson Ek, that's really hard to overcome. Yeah. But the Wild have to figure out a way to do it.
And I'm sure the coaching staff has spent these past 3 days trying to figure that out. And, that's what's great about these playoffs is that, you learn something from every game, and then you try to tweak it or, trying to find another way. And, that's why it's never over. It doesn't look good right now, but, tonight, all of a sudden they win tonight, and then it's like, game on.
Without a doubt.
Game on.
Remember in that Dallas series, the Wild were down 2-1, and it didn't look good coming out of that double overtime loss. You're not feeling good about yourself. You lost on home ice. You've lost 2 in a row. The mighty Dallas Stars, and what happens? The Wild end up winning 3 in a row.
Yeah.
So that's the ebbs and flows of playoff hockey. That's what makes it so good. It looks bleak now, down 2-0 in the series, but they haven't played a game on home ice yet.
Look at Dallas. And Dallas, same thing. They had injuries I mean, you just don't lose Rupe Hintz.
Have you seen the aftermath too? Some of the things they're talking about. Not only Rupe Hintz, but some of the other guys like Rantanen and what they're dealing with.
Oh yeah. It's
just a litany of issues.
And that's the NHL playoffs. It's really about survival within your lineup. The games will take care of itself, But it's about being healthy.
Yep.
So
for sure. But again, still very much alive in the series.
Yes.
Got to win tonight, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Are we thinking Brodin is toast?
I think so.
Yeah.
No one's told me that, but he's not practicing. He's not skating. I haven't seen him. I mean, at least I've seen Jules Eriksson-Ek, and I'm telling you, I think he plays tonight.
I bet you he broke a bone or something. It
was a shot block, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and I think to his skate. So.
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah, and especially for a guy like that.
90 miles an hour.
Oh, I don't even want to comprehend what that feels like. Good show coming your way over the course of the next 2 hours. We got Matt Cullen, formerly of St. Cloud State, formerly of Minnesota State. Now he's a Golden Gopher. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
It'll be fun to catch up with him, go down memory lane about his career, but also what's new for him, what's coming up, and we can talk about that slew of kids he's got coming down the pike. We've got Dan Rosen joining us next from NHL.com. He's in St. Paul. He's at Wild Practice. He can give us an update of what he's seen through this series, what he's seen there as they get ready to take the ice in the morning skate. Taylor Heise is going to join us later this hour as well. They had a big win last night at Grand Casino Arena to knot that series up at 2 games apiece. It's a best of 5, so it's a must-win on Monday in Montreal as they try to defend.
So it's in Montreal.
6 o'clock on Monday night in Montreal. The back-to-back world champion PWHL Minnesota Frost. Their playoff lives on the line Monday night. A wonderful game last night, and Taylor Heise will help us break that down. It sounded like it. It sounded like it was great, and she can tell us from what I watched it on TV. I was flipping around between that and the Timberwolves, which
What'd you think of the Wolves game?
I didn't like it at all. That was such 11-1. I knew they were in trouble. They did fight back, but I should have listened closer.
So Wemby is the McKinnon of the NBA.
I mean, that guy is all knees and elbows, man. I don't know how you defend that dude, honestly. And I'm not the basketball guy anyway, but watching him, what he does on both ends of the I would just park him under the basket. He sits there like a windmill.
How about that wingspan?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and he doesn't even have to jump, and he can dunk. But anyway, lots of wild stuff coming up. I told you about Taylor Heise. We're going to finish the show with Brad Schlossman, get kind of an update on what's going on the college scene. I don't know if you saw the article he wrote in the Grand Forks Herald, but it was very good, kind of an update of what's happening and what's to come in college hockey. So the Schloss will give us all the details on that. So can we take the first break?
Let's do that.
All right, let's do it. Let's get the first break out of the way, and then we'll go to St. Paul. Dan Rosen of NHL.com is next on Beyond the Pond.
This is Wild GM Bill Guerin, and you're listening to Falness and Micheletti on Beyond the Pond on KFAN.
Sent it to the left wing side. Zuccarello down low. Centering pass. They score! Joel Eriksson-Ek, a one-timer!
Yeah, his first skate was today, so, I thought he looked good out there. So that was, certainly encouraging. And, we had the plan for him to go out and skate before practice and then do some stuff in the practice. So we'll see where it goes from there.
John Hines on Jules Eriksson-Ek, one of the big question marks going into game number 3 tonight in St. Paul. Wild and Avalanche, they hit the ice with an 8:10 puck drop. Extended pregame starts at 7 o'clock right here on the Fan. There's a free open party down there starting at 5 o'clock too, down on Kellogg and West 7th. Get more information at wild.com/playoffs. But to talk about the Wild and everything going on in this series, Dan Rosen, a national perspective at NHL.com. Find him on Twitter at DRosen NHL, at DRosen NHL, senior writer for NHL.com, host of the Ring podcast, and frequent contributor to NHL Network. Dan, that's Pat Micheletti. I'm Kevin Falness. Thanks for taking time for us here on Beyond the Pond.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? How are you? Good morning.
We're good. I've seen you bouncing around following this Minnesota Wild team in the second round matchup. Kind of give us your view of what's happening here, as Colorado certainly has owned the series to this point, at least from a series standpoint. They lead the series 2-0. But Pat and I were saying we don't feel like the Wild are all that far away from getting back in it.
No, they just got to be able to kill a penalty.
Yeah.
And maybe score a power play goal every once in a while, you know? And honestly, like, that's really where it is, because 5-on-5, this seems like a pretty even, you know, like, and it could swing either way, if you will. The Wild have to be really happy with how they've done 5-on-5, because the Avalanche were the best 5-on-5 team in the league throughout the regular season. They obviously had no issues getting through the LA Kings in the first round. You know, and Minnesota's been good 5-on-5. They obviously is a big reason why they won the Dallas series, but you got to kill some penalties, and you got to score on the power play every once in a while. And so far in this series, Colorado's 3 for 7 on the power play, and the Wild are 0 for 5. And those make up a big difference right there, and you got to be able to do it. And you know, we saw in practice yesterday them focused a lot on the PK. I'm a believer, I don't know how you guys are, but I'm a believer that a good penalty kill, like an important key penalty kill, drives it as much, if not more, momentum than an important power play. You know, like, obviously if you get the power play goal, that's key. But a good penalty kill, shutting that team down, takes away their momentum, drives your momentum, and all of a sudden the crowd gets buzzing, especially when you're at home. And I think it does wonders, and the Wild need to do that tonight. The
problem is they don't have either right now, the PK or the power play. They're both struggling.
And you know, Dan, a lot of it, you know, when your power play, or excuse me, when your penalty kill is going well, you know, you'll hear players, you'll hear coaches, you'll hear broadcasters, whoever say, oh, well, you know, your best penalty killer is your goalie. Okay. And, you know, and this one has been driving me crazy, because I did not like the McKinnon power play goal the other night. If you looked where Gustafsson was in his net, you know, he's got to be out at the top of the crease there. And he was, you know, halfway out. And, you know, you give McKinnon that much net to look at, well, and the way he shoots the puck, good luck, right? And go ahead. No.
100%. Yeah, and I think, like, McKinnon does a great job on that play. He kind of gets himself lost.
Yep.
But, you know, right, he gets himself lost. He floats a little bit into the circle, if I'm remembering it correctly, floats up a little bit into the circle, because the previous power play goal in that game was to get Landeskog in the bumper. And it was a one-time, I believe it was a one-timer in the bumper. And then there was the, you know, in the middle, right in the slot. And then the McKinnon one, it's almost like this goes back to the Wild not recognizing the reads. Like, you cannot lose Nathan McKinnon.
Right.
You can't lose him on the penalty kill. He's the guy you can't lose. Yes, they have Makar. Yes, they have Natchez and Landeskog. You cannot lose Nathan McKinnon, and they do. And then you're right. I didn't like the way that Gustafsson played it. I mean, you want to go full on with this. I didn't like the way Gustafsson played a lot of those goals.
Yeah, 3 of the goals.
I didn't.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. I didn't particularly like the idea that Gustafsson was playing in the game.
No, that was my next question.
Yeah. So, but it's the PK, and they worked on it a lot in practice yesterday. But you just, like, they're talking about reads, and I fully understand that. And they're reads, they're in zone reads. Now they're allowing, like,
overthinking it. They're
overthinking it, and they're allowing the entry, which is too easy now for the Avalanche to get in the zone.
Yep.
And that's allowing them to set up. If you look back at it, and I put this stat out to John Hines yesterday, the Wild are winning 60% or better of their shorthanded faceoffs, like 67% of their shorthanded faceoffs in this series. And they won like 37% of those shorthanded faceoffs in Dallas. So it's different. It's not the end zone draw that they're losing and then allowing the Stars to set up and go to work the way they did. They're winning the draw, but then they're getting, and then it's the entry. It's through the neutral zone, and they're coming in with too much speed. They're losing guys in the offensive zone, and you just can't have that happen. Then you know, your goalie has to come up at some point and make a big save too.
Okay, you've been around a long time, and you've seen a lot of playoff series, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of these teams are really, really, really good. They're all really good. You know, and you know, the playoff system is what it is. But Kevin and I were talking earlier about if you're not healthy, it really puts a damper on your chances of winning. Not that you can't, But, I mean, Dallas will tell you, hey, look at our injuries, throughout that whole series and hints out and blah, blah, blah. Well, Minnesota with two key guys, two shutdown guys. What do you think Minnesota has to do differently with those two guys out?
Well, you're right about the health factor of it. And, as it gets deeper in the playoffs, you'll always hear teams, coaches, players, say you got to get lucky, right? Playoffs is also about getting lucky, and that's a big part of it. Staying healthy is staying lucky in the playoffs because it's a brutal game. We know that, right? And so with Eriksson Ek and Brodin out, it further exacerbates the penalty kill, if you ask me. You have two key guys that are on the PK that make the right reads a lot of the time, that are not there. And that throws everything into a loop. I don't honestly know that what the Wild could do differently without them. And the reason I say that is they don't have a replacement for Eriksson Ek if he's not playing.
There's no next man up.
Nobody who can fill that role.
Right. Right.
And they don't, it's not like to me, like the Wild, the one thing with the Wild, and I know it's been the constant search for a center. If you had Eriksson Ek and say like an elite skilled center, he's not coming here. I'm just a Jack Hughes type.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he might be.
Kind of get away with it a little bit. You can kind of get away with it a little bit because you're still dangerous offensively, and you know what I mean? But they don't necessarily have that. And so that's why Eriksson Ek is so valuable to this team. I don't have to tell you guys that. You know that.
Yeah.
And then Brodin is probably their best shutdown defender. And, you got Faber and Hughes. And Faber and Hughes, they're great, but they're going to take a lot of the offensive zone draws because that's Quinn Hughes' game. So that's now Brock Faber's game, right? So when you now have to throw Middleton and Spurgeon together for a lot of defensive zone draws, it's not the same as having Brodin and Spurgeon doing it. That's not a knock on Middleton. It's just that Brodin is that good, right? So I don't know that they can do anything necessarily different because they don't have replacements for those guys. They really have to. It really comes down to special teams. They've really got to hone in on the PK and on the power play because I don't mind the way they're playing 5-on-5. The way they're playing 5-on-5 is fine, and they can continue to do that. But if you're going to lose guys like McKinnon on the penalty kill, you're going to lose the game.
Talking to Dan Rosen, NHL.com. Find him on Twitter or X at DRosenNHL. I've seen you around practice. We were both there yesterday, directly to the left of the Wild bench at Tria Rink in St. Paul. And we had pretty good seats, but Jules Eriksson Ek probably had the best seat in the house. The problem is he was on that bench way too much. If you had to guess, listening to John Heise, and knowing Jules Eriksson Ek the way I do as a player, it feels to me like there's no doubt in my mind he's playing tonight in Game 3. Pat doesn't think so. I do. What do your spidey senses tell you about Jules Eriksson Ek's status for tonight?
I don't think he's playing.
You don't?
I really don't. No, I don't think so. And, for the Wild's sake and for their fans' sake, I hope I'm wrong. But if he was feeling good enough, he would have been part of that penalty.
Yep. Yeah, you're probably right.
Today. And he was sitting on the bench for the entire. But no, I don't believe that. I certainly believe what John Heise said in terms of playing was having to go out, skate before the practice, do some things in practice. But if Eriksson Ek was feeling good, he would have been out there for it, and he wasn't. So to me, that tells me it's not responding very well for him, and whatever it is, it's not responding very well for him. And then if it didn't respond well in practice, ramp that up, ramp the pace up, ramp the speed up. Now you're in a game against one of the fastest teams in the league. I don't know. I think a decision will be made here. If I had to guess, a decision is made here that while he might be 75%, that extra 25% could hinder, not having that could hinder the Wild more than help the Wild. And I have a feeling he's not going to play. I hope I'm wrong because I think his game is so fun to watch and he's so good at it. And it just makes it a better game when all the best players are in the game. So I hope I'm wrong, but I just have that feeling that if he was out there and feeling good, he would have been part of that yesterday, but he wasn't. So that leads me to believe that he's not feeling so good.
And we're all in agreement Volstead gets to start in game 3.
Well, I was just going to ask Dan this question. The big, change for Minnesota was starting Gustafsson in game 2. And
yep.
He hadn't played in 3 weeks. He was not very good to end the season. Game 1 to me was a throwaway game. You don't even look at the tape. It was just a game that does not happen. Yes, in the 80s, you question that. How much do you think, and the coaches, the management, they say they don't read stuff. Well, they kind of, they do read stuff, like it or not. They read your stuff, Dan.
Yeah.
And you saw Kadri saying, yeah, well, I did a lot of homework on him and this, that, and the other thing. And there were, and listen, Wedgwood gave up 6. Okay. So,
yeah.
How much do you think that got in the Wild staff's head? Because I did not like the move. I don't think it was necessary. I don't think Volstead, as Kevin likes to call him, but we all name, do. So, yeah. Volley. Yeah. Okay, I'll just call him Volley. Dan. Okay. I don't think he gave up a lot of bad goals in that game. I really don't. And I don't think Wedgwood did either. So what did you think of that change going into game 2?
I was surprised. They went to Gustafsson for game 2 after that. I think when you look at it from the big picture, what you'll hear is, listen, we used 2 goalies all year, and they looked at that as an opportunity to use 2 goalies again because figuring, hey, we're going to keep going here. We're going to need both of these guys and whatnot. And I've heard that before, and sometimes it rings true. I just thought I was surprised because I agree with you in that game 1 was so strange that it was almost like an easy one to flush because Volstead wasn't the only one. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. He can't look at that game and say, I lost us that game. They can't. That's impossible. I mean, Wedgwood gave up 6. There was no concern about switching goalies there, right? And he gave up 6 goals in a game.
And they have 2 goalies that were great all year.
Yes. So I didn't necessarily agree with it. Part of the reason I didn't agree with it is I didn't know how well Gustafsson was handling the whole situation either. And now they make the change. We see what happens. And now I'm fully on board that Volstead plays tonight. Like I think everybody is. Yeah. And it's a good test for the rookie to come back into a series that he was essentially pulled from, right? To see what he can do, see that. I think he's got that confidence and swagger about him that you need. So I think he will be fine. And eventually, if anything, 5 days off will benefit him too. He was playing a lot and more than he had been used to playing consecutively. And, that gave him a break. So it might benefit him in that sense. I just would have gone back to him and not shown the concern or the change unless he lost game 2 as well. And now you've got Gustafsson coming home crowd, different type of game, obviously a favorable building to go in game 3, and you're down 2-0 if that's the case. Or you're 1-1 and Volstead showed that he's got it and he's fine and completely different type of game. Or it's 2-0 and you're fine with Volstead because you didn't have a problem in the game. I just would have given him game 2, but I'll be shocked if he doesn't play game 3.
I'm not into must-win games at all. I never use it except for now. I do think tonight is a critical game for Minnesota. They need to win because then all of a sudden, in my opinion, it changes the complexity of the series. Would you agree or no? And I don't think you're going to beat Colorado 4 in a row if they lose tonight.
Yeah, well, no, it's a need to win. I guess you can't say it's a must win until they can be eliminated if you want to go with the actual English of it, right? Yeah. But it's a need-to-win game. I mean, listen, you're down 3-0 in a series. It's happened 4 times in NHL history that, a team has come back from that, and I don't see it happening. It's not great when you're down 2-1 either, but at least it's way better. In fact, it's like 22% of the teams that win game 3 at home after losing the first 2 come back and win the series. So your odds are better than that, right? So they have to. This is a need to win game. They have to win tonight. If they lose tonight, I mean, they may not lose it in 4, but I don't see them beating I don't see any team beating the Avalanche 4 in a row. Period. Yeah. So they got to win this one.
Dan, really appreciate you doing this. We'll let you get on to practice here, see what's going on at the morning skate, and we'll see you at the rink tonight.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thanks, Dan.
There you go, Dan Rosen, NHL.com. Find him on X at DRosenNHL. Yeah, I mean, he's plugged in, and we're fortunate enough to have him following around the Wild and Avalanche in this best-of-7 series. Wild down 2-0. Again, outdoor party leading into it, a viewing party starting at 5 o'clock going through the game.
Are you
so if you don't have
making an appearance
tickets
there or not?
No, we'll be on the air at 7 o'clock. You, me, and the whole crew. We're going to have a fun time starting at 7. Brandon Micheletti going to join us at 7 o'clock. It should be great. We'll have Joe and Tom from the booth. We'll get on to the network pregame at 7:45, drop the puck at 8:10, and then hopefully the Wild play like their playoff lives depend upon it, because it does.
They will.
And I think they will, too. This will be their best bullet.
They don't feel sorry for themselves. They know it's at stake. It's the second round of the playoffs, and they will be ready to play. There is no doubt in my mind. And so, it hopefully will be a good one tonight.
Plenty more preview coming your way as the show rolls along. I told you Matt Cullen's going to join us at the top of the hour, talk about his memories of wearing that Wild uniform and what's going on with the former Husky now becoming a Gopher. Seriously? But when we continue, we're going to talk about another hockey team doing some big things in the playoffs. The Minnesota Frost won last night. Taylor Heise is going to recap it next on Beyond the Pond.
This is Beyond the Pond.
You're going to think I'm absolutely crazy, which
I do, and it doesn't matter what you're about to say. I've thought that for years.
On the Fan.
Face-off win clean by Panic. The other power play group out. Here is Morin walking down. Morin towards the net.
What a scene last night at Grand Casino Arena. The Minnesota Frost beat Montreal 3-1 to force a Game 5. That'll be Monday night in Montreal. The back-to-back defending PWHL champs back on the ice. They live to see another day. To talk about that and more, we bring in Taylor Heise from the Minnesota Frost. Taylor, that's Pat Micheletti. I'm Kevin Falness. Thanks for joining us on Beyond the Pond after a big win last night.
Big win.
So much fun to watch.
Thanks, guys.
How was it? Take us inside the building. I'm watching on TV. I'm flipping between you and the Timberwolves, and you guys are capturing my imagination, especially in that third period. What was it like inside the building as the fans went nuts?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely unbelievable. I think, we felt that so many times in the past 3 years, and just super thankful for all of our fans and everyone that comes to games to support us, because obviously those big goals don't mean as much unless you have a big crowd behind you. So I think it was just super fun, and obviously I think Sid Morin has been deserving of all of these goals that she's had, and I think having a defense be your leading scorer in playoffs so far, it's rare. But I think for us, it's just such a fun thing to work around, and I think she's just played a phenomenal game.
We always talk about home ice advantage, and I'm not one. You've got to play the game, same rink, and and you've played in multiple big games on the road, etc. What's the mindset? I'm not worried about you, but what's the mindset of your team going into Montreal Monday night?
Yeah, I think you're playing with house money. No one expected us to win. The first 2 years, no one expected us to win here. They ended up picking us. I just think with the amount of animosity that's already in the air, I think it's just a game of willing and wanting to be better and find a way to win. So, it's desperation hockey, and in the best way. I think desperation hockey can go one of two ways. You can white-knuckle your stick and just try to make everything go in, and it never will, or you play free and play fast, and things will go your way. So I think that's what we're going to come out with, and just have a good time. You never know when it's your last game with your group, and it's just been an honor to play with them this year for sure.
You alluded to Sid. For the casual Minnesota Frost fan out there, tell us about defenseman Sydney Morin. You mentioned she scored a big goal last night. All she's done is score big goals, 4 goals in 4 games. 2 of them come in the third period last night, including the eventual game winner. What is going on here with one of your best defensemen?
Yeah, I think some of the media brought it up yesterday, like she didn't have a goal in the regular season. I would have never felt that way. I would have guessed that she would have had a few just because she plays so – casual isn't the right word, but casual is what I want to use as a description of what she does. She is so content back there doing her job. She never goes outside of the lines. I think she just does what we need her to do, and she shows up every single game. With us picking her up this past year, it was definitely one of the best things we could have done. She brings this solid just composure to the blue line, and she also just has been in big games. She's been through it. She said it last night. She's tenured. She's seen these games, and I think one of the biggest things for us is getting shots through from the point. And for her, obviously they've all gone in for her. And I think that's another thing we can take as a group. And it's not always about how hard you shoot. It's about the accuracy of where you put it. So she's been great, fantastic. I texted her last night. I'm like, you deserve this moment. Keep working. And I'm really excited to see what she can do in Game 5.
I got to ask you about the goaltending. We know on any level of this sport that we all love, if you don't have goaltending, you ain't got nothing. You've actually got a couple of good goaltenders, but Maddie Rooney between the pipes for both games, back-to-back occasions, 29 saves in the victory last night. How good has the position been for your group as a whole this season, but especially the last 2 nights by Maddie?
Totally. I'll talk about Maddie first. I think she's phenomenal. I looked at her yesterday and I said, you got any energy left? And she goes, absolutely. And that's all you could ask from her. I think, she's going to bring out the best in what she can bring for us every single night. We know the same thing about Nick as well. So I think when a goalie's hot, you continue on with them, and that's just kind of what we've done. But those 2 have been our backbones for the whole year. And I think when you look at either of them, it wouldn't have mattered who played last night. I think we would have played the same exactly behind them. But I just think, Maddie's been on a roll, and it's been super fun to see her come on her own. And we've seen this from her. It should be something that surprises people. She's a fantastic goaltender. But I think, too, she has that confidence that, Nick's right behind her and that no matter who goes in the net for each game, that they know they're going to get their best out of each other. And to have 2 of the best goaltenders in the world competing on the same team for time, it's definitely a hard situation. But I think for the both of them, they do it with such grace and composure, and they just respect and love each other so much that I think whoever's playing in net, that's going to respect that decision and want that person to be successful.
Okay, you've heard this a million times throughout your career. You go on the road, and the coaches will say, first 10 minutes, let's just get through the first 10 minutes of the game. Right. Blah, 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 and let the game settle down. I am completely opposite of that. I'm like, attack, and, punch him in the face and get after him. That's but then maybe that's why I'm not a coach. But that being said, what will be the strategy going in? Will it be any different than the other games? Or what will be that going into Game 5 Monday night?
Yeah, I'm interested to see. We fly there tonight, so interested to see what we come up with for practice tomorrow. And usually our coach can give us a good vibe and what he thinks that we should continue to work on. But it's all about feel. I'm with you. I know
you are, because you like to bring it. I love it.
It's really, really hard to come back from that. So I think, you want to punch him in the nose right away, but you also want to be composed. You don't want to, overextend or do anything you wouldn't normally in a game. I think the composure is a large part of it, but it's kind of composed chaos is what I like to call it. And being able to have that and to feel like you're secure in what you're doing, but also doing every single little thing you can, whether that's diving for pucks or blocking the hard shot that you don't want to block. Those are the big keys in Game 5. And we've been into these games before. We've gone to other people's rinks and won and figured it out. But yeah, it's going to be a battle, and I'm excited to see how we come out.
Listen, you've got your hands full with Monday in Game 5. You've got a long and lasting career as a player still ahead of you. But I'm sensing coaching vibes here. When you hang them up 20 years from now, you've got that coaching blood in you, don't you? You sound like a coach.
I definitely have seen. From me, I am coachable, but I definitely can see both sides of being a coach. And I think I'm more into the private outside of doing skills training and such, that's kind of where my heart lies. I run my own camp in the summer, and doing that kind of stuff, I get to kind of see people's work ethic show over time. I would love to coach as well, but it would have to be the right fit. But I definitely have the mindset. I have the creativity side for me. So who knows what 20 years down the road will show for me, but excited to start.
That's a long ways in the future. The real question here is I got to know where Parker's loyalties were. We hear you guys all the time on the power trip. Was he at your game or was he at the Timberwolves game? Because he's got loyalties to both.
Hey. I know he does. And honestly, yesterday he got in a full 18 for golf.
Oh, boy. Poor guy.
Our game. He then made it to the tip-off of the Timberwolves game.
Wow.
And then he was watching on his iPad our game.
So let me.
He was double doing it. He was making sure that I knew that he was watching.
All right, so let me ask you this. Do you want him, like, on game day, just get away from me, let me focus, and or you know, I guess, did you kick him out and say go golfing, or what's the deal?
No, it was actually already on the books.
Okay.
He does know that I have a routine, and I just kind of go with it. And he knows kind of to stay out of the way. But like, if we'll sometimes go to lunch, but now that he's working, I kind of get the day to just chill and vibe out. But yeah, he said he had a great 18 yesterday. So I mean, both of us had good days. So.
Awesome.
Hey, awesome.
Yeah, good stuff. Hey, Taylor, we got to do this again soon. Good luck on Monday. You know, you got the state of hockey in your corner. Good luck, and go get them.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
Bye.
Taylor Heise, forward for the Minnesota Frost. Again, it's Game 5 coming up on Monday in Montreal. The Frost now 5-0 all-time when facing elimination. That was a big win last night.
Huge win.
Don't forget, because of the schedule, and I was going to ask her about this because her comments, she wasn't too happy about the fact that they played on Thursday and then came right back to play on Friday.
Right.
But with their season on the line, they got a huge win last night, led by Morin, who scored twice in that third period, and now they force a Game 5, and it's a do or die in Montreal. 6 o'clock, I think you can watch that on Fox 9 Plus Monday night. So fun to root for, and she's so easy to root for. Do you get the coaching vibes from her?
Well, she's very intelligent about the game, and obviously, with the way she plays it. I mean, she's really, really smart and really, really good. So, no, it would not surprise me at all.
Long ways off in the distance, but good to hear from Taylor Heise. When we continue, we're going to check in with Matt Cullen. He, too, one of the best hockey players of all time, certainly one of the best Americans.
Now a Gopher.
Now a Golden Gopher, and I'm sure he's taking his share of ribbing about that, but he's come on over to the dark side. We'll talk about that with him. I see your talkbacks coming. We'll get to those here in the next hour, so keep the talkbacks coming. Hit that microphone icon on the free iHeartRadio app. You can also text us 64686. I see those as well, and we'll have some time to get into that as the second hour continues here next on Beyond the Pond.
This is Wild head coach John Hines, and you're listening to Beyond the Pond with Falness and Micheletti on KF.
Schultz gets it ahead for Brodziak, and Brodziak is able to clear the zone. Bouncing puck, picked up by Cullen. He's got a breakaway. Cullen in, shoots, scores! Cullen on a breakaway for Minnesota. Short-handed goal, 3-0 Wild.
Welcome the opportunity to hear the voice of Bob Kurtz anytime we can, but also welcome the opportunity to talk to our buddy Matt Cullen, joining us now, not to talk about St. Cloud State. No, he's talking about his new gig with the Golden Gophers. Director of Player Development for the Golden Gopher men's hockey team. Matt Cullen, that's Pat Micheletti. I'm Kevin Falness. Thanks for taking time for your friends here on KFAN.
Yeah, hey guys, how you doing?
Really good, sir. Tell us about the new gig. First, I mean, there's lots of roads we can go down, and we talk about your past, present, and future, but let's talk about Director of Player Development. What is that, and how did they lure you over to what we're calling the dark side?
Yeah.
Is that what you're calling that, Kevin?
That's what some are calling it.
Yeah.
Maybe not Pat.
Jeez.
No, you know what? It's I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. It's yeah, you know, like I've known Lars for quite a while here, just with the St. Cloud State relationship, and you know, over the years I got to know him. I'd go out and maybe work with their centers or do some video or whatever. And then, you know, going through the recruiting process with my own sons and just getting to know Lars a little bit better. Yeah, when he called after he got the job and called and asked if I would have interest in doing it. Yeah, I'm at a point in my life where it'll be a fun new opportunity. It's it'll be a new challenge, and like kind of, you know, I'm at that point. I'm just kind of excited about trying something new and seeing if I can help out. And it's obviously a high level of hockey, and I've been able to stay in the game quite a bit since I left. So yeah, I think it'll be a really good way of hopefully sharing some of my experiences and having a little positive impact on the program.
Hey, Matt, first of all, congratulations, and obviously great to have you on staff. You know, I just think about you and Paul Martin and all of your knowledge of playing in the National Hockey League for so many years. Okay, that being said, let's go back. Your boys committed to Minnesota before this, before you were even on board here. I want to ask you what it was like just as a father going through the recruiting of your boys, and how you handled that, and maybe some tips that you can give other families that will be going through the recruiting process.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's actually interesting because as they were starting to go through it, I thought back a lot on my own recruiting process when I was younger, and you kind of don't really realize how young these guys are when they go through it. It's, these are big decisions, and they're young kids, and they don't have a lot of life experiences to base these decisions off of. And so I think probably I tried to help them, with practical ideas and Wyatt, for example, has been in Michigan for 2 years. So he was really in love with the idea of coming closer to home. And so that was important for him. And Brooks was in a different boat. He had different ideas, but really trying to map out with them, what it'll look like, trying to get a picture of where the programs are at, what their future looks like, which obviously nowadays is a lot harder. I remember when I went through my process, I knew exactly who was going to be on the roster next year.
Right.
And you could probably map out the next few years. And it's a lot more difficult now being, with the portal and all the change that has happened in college hockey. It's nearly impossible to predict what your opportunity might look like the next year. So you kind of almost don't use that as much as a factor. No matter where you go in college hockey, there's going to be huge competition for ice time and roles. So I guess ultimately, trying to help these kids navigate it without getting too wowed by all the bells and whistles and all the fancy facilities, but more looking at, relationships with the coaches, the people that are going to be around you, the development opportunities and plans that they would have for you. You want to play hockey at the next level past college. What place do you think is going to help you reach that goal? And I think that was probably, as a dad, that was probably what I tried to help them the most with. But yeah, it's honestly, it's super challenging, and it gave me a different perspective now, being on this side and being able to help on the coaching side and the recruiting side, what is important to parents and then what is important to the players. And sometimes it's two different things, but helping them kind of put those two together and figure out what makes the most sense for them it's super challenging, but I think that's something that, I learned a lot about going through with the boys, so hopefully can help here.
Strange landscape in college hockey these days, especially compared to when you went through this process, and lots of changes on the U of M campus. You alluded to the fact that you have a working relationship with Brett Larson even before he became the head coach for the Golden Gophers, replacing Bob Motzko. Take away your friendship from Brett Larson. Why is he the right guy to lead this program going forward?
I've always been super impressed with Lars and what he's done at St. Cloud, and I think the standard that he carried at St. Cloud and has kept them at a really high level for a long time. And, his international experience and just going through it with my own boys, I know they thought so highly of him. And, he's just a character guy, and he's an honest guy, and he does things the right way. He's an easy guy to get behind, to be honest. And I would say, the experience, going through it with Bob and Killer and Gordo, man, the boys loved those guys and just thought the world of them and really respected their whole group. But yeah, they when they went through it, going through it with Lars, they were so impressed with him, and I've always been really impressed with him. And I think he's just going to do a great job. I just think as a dad, that's the kind of guy you want your kids playing for. As a hockey guy, it's also the kind of guy you want your kids playing for. He teaches them the right way to play the game. He stresses the importance of culture and playing hockey the right way and being a good teammate. And these are things that become even more important as you get onto the pro level. So you talk about developing your players and developing your kids for down the road. He's at the top of the list.
Let's switch over to the National Hockey League now, and I'm sure you've paid attention to the Wild Colorado series. I think it's a series that when you looked at it from the get-go, at least I thought, that it could go either way. Okay. Minnesota's down 2-0. What's the mindset for a team that is down 2-0? Knowing that, tonight, it's almost a must-win game against a team like Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's the most fun hockey. I think, aside from maybe the Four Nations this year, this series is some of the most fun hockey to watch. We're just so lucky to get to watch it, and I just love this. Watching the Wild team play the game. I mean, obviously, it'd be so nice if they were healthy. That's some pieces, which is critical, and especially with the team that we're playing against, to have Eriksson Ek especially would make a huge impact. But it is what it is, and I think when you find yourself in this spot, it just becomes a Game 7 mentality, and that's where you're at, and the guys know that. And it just really, I found like it comes down to kind of narrowing your focus. It's so easy to get. You have these days between games, and this has been a little bit of a longer break. It's like you start thinking about, can we win 4 in a row or 4 out of the next 5? Like you start thinking big picture, and it looks almost impossible. And I think the best guys and the guys that have handled these things the best are the ones that kind of narrow their focus just to literally block everything out. And, it's an overused term in hockey, you block out the noise, but there's some truth to it. You just literally have to simplify it to this one game. And the teams and the guys that can do that and just focus completely on one game and lose track of the rest of it, where the series is at, but just play a Game 7. Your next game is Game 7, and that's just every little play is so important. And just having that next shift mentality. Like, I think they'll be fine. I actually really like their game, and I think they're a hell of a team. But yeah, that's the hardest part with that is just the challenge of hearing all the noise about, well, you're down 2-0. And then you start hearing the stats about historically when you're down 2-0, your odds of winning are, there's so much stuff out there, and it's really honestly, and I know they have a really tight knit group and great leadership, so they'll be fine. It's just about kind of bearing down on that one game. This is your Game 7, and this is the entire world to you right now, and that's where they'll get to, and I think they'll be fine.
Talking to former Wild forward Matt Cullen, 21 years in the National Hockey League and 3 times won the Stanley Cup with the Hurricanes in 2006, Pens in 2016 and 2017. 21 seasons in the National Hockey League, a whole lot of experience in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I know it's hard to be away from the game as a former player in general, but this time of year, do you start getting the shakes? I mean, this is what you live for this time in this drama.
And you could probably still play.
Oh, 100% you could play.
No, I could not. But yeah, it is actually. We watch the games every night, and honestly, this is like the best time of the year. I think if you're a hockey fan, there's nothing I enjoy more. We sit home, I sit with the boys watching the games, and Bridget has her opinions too, so it's good. We're all watching, and there's nothing better. And this is the best time of year, and this time of year more than any time for me brings back so many great memories. Like as a player, like as you get older in the game, like some parts of the season, I was lucky enough to have a long career. So some parts of the season there's a grind to it, and it grinds you down as you get older. But when you get to this time, you feel like you're 20 years old again, and it is the most fun hockey. I just get like, yeah, I do. I just enjoy watching it so much because it is so fun, and you see how much fun these guys are having, and you just pour everything you have into one game. You take the next day off, recover, and then you go do it again. And as a hockey player, this is like the ultimate. And I do miss it a lot when I get to watch these guys playing right now, because you can kind of put yourself back in the locker room and how fun that is, because there's like no time of year where as a group you're pulling on the same rope more than right now. Like I remember the celebrations on the bench when you score a big goal, and it just like you can't replace it. There's just nothing like it. It's awesome.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot then. 20 years ago, you won your first Stanley Cup, and after the game, you're holding that big silver trophy. You're hoisting it towards the rafters. You give it a big smooch. Phenomenal. What's better, that moment or winning back-to-back state titles for your Moorhead Spuds? I mean, I don't know if that's an answerable question there, Matt.
That's a question. I did not see that coming. I didn't see that. That's pretty good. I don't know. I mean, I think for me, as a player, the Cups, you put so much into it, and you just literally put your whole life into it. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to share it with my family. So those are just like, those moments are just beyond anything I would have ever dreamed of. But, the high school stuff was so fun. I enjoyed it way more than I probably ever would have imagined. I mean, probably being away from home for so long, coming back gave me, I think, a new appreciation of what an awesome event the state high school tournament is. And I've seen hockey in every part of the country. I've seen youth hockey. I've seen junior hockey. I just have a new appreciation for what a special thing that is here in Minnesota. Like that state tournament, there's honestly nothing like it. And for these kids to have that experience here in Minnesota, or to have that as their goal to shoot for, it is actually unbelievable. And I loved it when I grew up, but now that I come back to it and get to go through the experience with my kids as a coach, there is nothing like it. It is so cool. So I mean, I probably can't really compare the two, but it was, that was such an awesome experience. And I tell you what, like Minnesota has it figured out for hockey. Obviously nothing's ever perfect, but the youth hockey, the high school hockey we have here,
phenomenal.
I mean, I've seen it all, honestly. It's just, there's nothing that even compares.
I have to ask you this, have you had the conversation yet with your boys now that, you're going to be coaching them, and you're going to be coaching developing or help develop, 24 other guys on your team. Have you had that conversation about what it's going to look like, or do they just know, hey, this is the way it's going to be?
Yeah, I've coached them a lot growing up. I mean, that was one of the big, when I retired, I wanted to be around the boys. Like, I knew they loved the game. They grew up with it. I gave up a lot. They sacrificed a lot too. We bounced all over the country. And, so it was a priority for me. I said no to a lot of different things in the NHL on different levels because I wanted to be home and help them on their path. And, I've coached them a lot, so there's a comfort level there. But we did sit down, when Lars called, we did sit down and talk through it, because I would never want to crowd their experience, their college experience, their hockey experience. We've had, through all the years of me coaching them, thankfully, we've had a really good relationship. We get along. I coach all three of them quite differently, but we have different relationships on it. But they all wanted me to coach, and they all enjoy it. So that was good. If they didn't want me to do it, I would have said no.
Yeah.
But I was excited about it, and they were excited about it too. So there will be, we've talked a lot as a coaching staff about it, because it is a different dynamic, and we're very aware of it. And it's something we'll talk with the group about. We'll talk to the boys about. It's easy for me, I guess, in my role, the player development role. It is ultimately for the players. Like, I'm there for the players. Like, I won't be on the bench in games. So there's a bit of a separation there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sending guys out on the power play. I'm not throwing the lines over the board. So I think that kind of helps a little with the separation. And literally, I'm there for the boys. I'm going to try to help make the program, along with the rest of the staff, as good as we can, and provide development plans for each player so that they can go as far as they can on their individual paths. So yeah, it's a very fair question, and it's one of the things Lars and I talked a lot about. We want to be careful with perception on the recruiting stuff, and also within the locker room. I always have said, if I wanted to help my own boys, I would not coach, and I would just stay home and help them at home, because when you end up coaching, you do end up diving into all the other players. And I think, I've learned to love the coaching part, and I love helping kids get to where they want to get to, especially as they get up the ladder and care more and more about it and work at it. So yeah, I've always thought that, like, I end up, if I wanted to help my own boys more individually, I would just stay home and help them when they come home from the games and give them tips and advice. And, but I enjoy the coaching, and I think that's something that I've just kind of grown to love. And I missed it this year. I didn't get to coach a lot this year, so I look forward to it. I really enjoy getting out there with the boys and the team and help guys with their own path. So yeah, it's a very fair question, and it's something we've talked a lot about, and we will continue to talk a lot about, but everybody is on the same page, and I think the positives will outweigh the negatives.
I'm going to throw one more at you, and I don't think this puts you too much on the spot. I'm not going to ask you for a scouting report on the 4 Cullen boys that we're keeping track of, but could you just give me one word for each of them? If I say Brooks, for example, what's one word you would describe him as a player? Not necessarily the kid off the ice, but Brooks, the player. How would you describe him in one word?
Well, one word, but I'll say 200-foot center. That's kind of his game.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
He plays both ends of the rink.
How about Wyatt?
Wyatt's a pretty dynamic, skilled forward. High skill, I would say.
High skilled.
Yeah. Okay.
Very high.
How about the 16-year-old Joey?
Yeah, he's
ultra skilled.
Very similar to Wyatt. He's high skill. He's always had a little bit more of a hunger to score. He's got a little bit more of like a goal scorer's hunger. If we have 5, he wants a 6th one badly. he's a third kid, so he's always chasing his brother. So he's got like a little different level of, I don't know what it is, hunger. But yeah, he and Wyatt are awfully similar.
So many Cullens to keep track of. I believe Max is a nephew. How would you describe Max?
Mm-hmm. You know, he's a 200-foot center. He's more of a power forward, big body, skates extremely well. And he's come into his own. He's playing in Muskegon right now. He had a great high school season last year. He's just a really powerful forward, powerful skater, 200-foot center, I would say.
Any other Cullens you want to talk about? Your wife, your dad, any other Cullens out there that we should be talking about?
There's more, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is good stuff. It was great catching up. Give us kind of your scouting report on tonight. A huge Game 3. I know we touched on it early in the conversation, but it's a big one tonight in St. Paul. It's basically do or die for the Minnesota Wild, down 2-rip to the Colorado Avalanche. Coach Cullen, how would you get it done tonight if you were coaching that Minnesota Wild team?
Yeah, I like a lot of what they're doing. It's the Game 7 mentality, and I mean that's what it comes down to. It's that mentality, and you know I think the team has just even another little notch better, a little higher level to play at. But they're playing some good hockey, and they're playing a hell of a team. And so it's a fine margin. But it's just that mentality. It's that little extra level of hunger that you get when you're looking at a Game 7, and you use that to your own advantage. And I think that they will tonight.
Great stuff. Enjoy the offseason, because I'm guessing next fall you're going to get a whole lot of Micheletti down at Mariucci.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing, though, Kevin.
It can be. I don't know how Matt looks at it. I'm just giving you a warning.
That'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be a good time.
Awesome stuff. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
There we go.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Matt Cullen, the new director of player development for the Golden Gopher men's hockey team, and it should be awesome.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, now you have Paul Martin as a full-time assistant. I mean, 15 years in the National Hockey League. You have Matt Cullen, 21 years in the National Hockey League with 8 different teams, 4 years total with Minnesota over 2 different stints, 44 goals, 123 points in 272 games with the Minnesota Wild. Just to get that knowledge. And, you know, if I'm a kid going to Minnesota and just, I would be like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I get to learn this, that, and the other thing from these guys. You know,
I was surprised.
2 great hires by Brett.
I didn't realize how many games that he played and how big that is in the National Hockey League. 24th in the history of the NHL, just passed by Andrzej Kopitar. 1,516 games in the NHL. That's 24th all time in most games played by one player. And 3 Stanley Cups.
For him to stay as healthy as he did throughout that career, I mean, it's amazing. Obviously, great player, right? And but then
great locker room guy too.
Yeah, I mean, just a great person, and I think the Gopher staff is really happy that they were able to get him to come on board.
Do you remember him much as a player in high school?
Well, in high school, not so much because then I was gone. I was in Europe.
That's true.
You know, so
wait a second. This would be 95.
Yeah, so I was done. Yeah, I remember him. Yes, for sure.
I was just looking at those stats. I don't remember him.
I don't remember what happened yesterday.
I know.
But, you know.
I had to go back and look at the numbers when he was
his years with the Ducks. Then
for sure.
You know.
Yep. 1995 with the Spuds, 47 goals, 89 points in 28 games. For Matt Cullen. And 3 state tournaments as a player, and then he finally got to win the state championship on back-to-back occasions and in some form or fashion, watching through his kids, of course. Yeah. But what a wagon they've been.
And played on some really good teams at St. Cloud, and
And now wearing that Golden Gopher uniform, sort of, as the coaching hat.
Oh, he'll have the garb on.
That's funny how things happen around this sport. All right, let's take a break. We got an open segment, so we'll get into all your talkbacks. We'll get into your texts. We still got Schloss before we wrap up the show, so we can get in a little college hockey. The weird landscape in that college hockey stuff, and he can break some of that down for us as we wrap up the show and get you ready for Game 3 as well tonight in St. Paul. But open segment coming up next, featuring your talkbacks and text on Beyond the Pond.
This is Beyond the Pond.
If you are a hockey fan and you're not listening to that show, as Glenn Mason would say, you're wrong. Like, how do you do better than that lineup?
No, that's a good lineup.
On the Fan. The Wild return home in need of a win in Game 3 of their series with the Avalanche. Coverage tonight starts at 7. Puck drops shortly after 8 on the audio home of the Wild. KFAN, The Fan.
You guys got to understand, Colorado's fourth line is so much faster than our fourth line. Speed is killing us in this series. Yeah. It is evident. And talent. Just wanted to inform you guys. Their lines, they have 3 good centers. Actually 4. And we...
Actually 5.
They have 1. We need... Yeah. But thanks, guys. You guys are the best. Have a great day, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much for the talk back. Keep those coming. We'll try to work them in as we go.
And I'm just going to respond, well, you can make a team look fast. You can make a team look fast. You get them the puck with speed, they're going to look fast. And then you have to backtrack.
Yep.
And so, but there's ways to stop that.
So what are they? Well, how do they get that done?
You clog it up. I mean, you clog it up. You get to their defenseman quicker, so they can't make that first outlet pass, and you shrink the rink a little bit, and and there are times that Minnesota has not done that. The LA Kings did it. Now, they didn't win the games for offensive reasons. But there are ways to slow a team down. I mean, there's no question about that.
You definitely need a big series from the Kaprizovs, the Boldies, et al. I feel like the McCarrons, the Folignos, the Trenians, they haven't been a factor in these first 2 games.
I don't think that they've been poor. I really don't.
But they haven't been the physical specimens they were against Dallas.
I mean, there's things that happen throughout the game that are up and down, and there hasn't been a consistent play to the game, meaning shift after shift. You have intermittent shifts that are pretty good, and then you have others that, okay, here they come. So. There just hasn't been that, enough consistency, I don't think, on that part.
I don't buy it either. He definitely wasn't fatigued.
Is that the extent of that time?
23 years
there we
old.
go.
He's young. Other goalies on teams play the whole playoffs with 1 goalie, and they're fine. It was a breakdown. Their speed killed us, point blank. It was speed and precision.
What a pregnant pause there in the middle of that talk.
Yeah, and he was talking about Wallstedt.
Jesper Wallstedt.
Obviously, and that was a decision that they made. So, but, I will say, too, that people get, because you're on the losing end of it, there were times, especially in Game 2, well, even Game 1, Kevin, where Minnesota had a lot of advantage in the offensive zone, time-wise. And they did a lot of really, really good things in those sequences. Obviously didn't win the game. And that's what you look at the end of the day.
Hey guys, great show. Quick question for you. I just want your thoughts. What do you think about splitting Faber and Hughes up for tonight's game? This is the Duke in Florida.
The Duke, I hate that idea. I know it's been floated around there, and you got to do something.
Been talked about
because Middleton has had a rough start to this series after having a great regular season.
Yep.
And even when paired up with Jared Spurgeon, for whatever reason, something's not clicking in the first 2 games of this series. There's a lot of things that might have to happen. That's one that I hope does not happen. I love Faber and Hughes together so much.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you split them up. And quite frankly, here's what I want to see more of out of Middleton. Because, Middleton obviously has not had a good series. We all know that. People think he's the worst defenseman ever to play the game. Let's not forget how good he was during the regular season. And when he was good, he was really, really aggressive. He was aggressive being on the offensive side. He's a big body that can skate. I would like to see him be more aggressive if he, and not so tentative. I think he's been a little tentative, and I don't know if that's because he dropped down to the 5-6 role and played those type of minutes. Now he's back to playing the big time minutes. Yep. And whether that had an effect on him or not, I don't know. But what I do know is that when he plays aggressive, he's pretty darn good. And so I hope he gets back to that mentality. I think that'll help a lot.
There are practices going on as we speak, and by the way, it looks like you and Dan Rosen were right. No Joel Eriksson Ek at the morning skate. Matt Zuccarello is skating, so that's good. They just said he was sick yesterday. That, too, is a key important factor to a Game 3 if the Wild are to come out swinging. They need Matt Zuccarello in their corner, but it appears no Joel Eriksson Ek, and I'm sure John Hines will have more indication here later on. We know Jonas Brodin isn't available. Would you keep the top 4 of your D pair then the same? You'd keep Hughes and Faber together and Spurgeon and Middleton?
I would. I think that you're asking an awful lot out of Damon Hunt.
He looks good, though. And I know it's in a limited role.
Oh, yeah. And I think next year he's going to move up. Yeah. No doubt in my mind. Same with Hunter Haight. He's going to be part of this team next year. But I just think you stick with the experience and I think we'll see a bounce back game from Middleton and Spurgeon.
Let's say Bogosian's available. You said stick with the experience. I leave Damon Hunt in the lineup and I put him with Bogosian.
Yeah, so do I.
And nothing against Jeff Petrie. I love me some Jeff Petrie, but I'd take Hunt, the young experience.
For sure.
Those big legs. Yeah,
yep, for sure.
All right, one more talk back.
Hey, this is Troy in Farmington getting ready for Game 3. Kellogg, West 7th, they're already getting to be shut down. It's going to be a great day downtown St. Paul. The fans will be ready. It's time for the Wild, do or die, backs against the wall. They got to get into this series. And in order to do that, the big dogs got to eat. The big dogs got to eat. Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy, they're playmakers, but tonight they got to be game breakers. And if they do that, we'll come within 1 of even in the series.
How about Troy and Farmington bringing the fire?
They are playmakers, but they gotta be game breakers. That was very well said.
The big dogs gotta eat, he says. Let's take a break and then we'll get a little college hockey update from the Schloss. That'll be a good way to wrap up the show. And again, big Game 3 coming up tonight from St. Paul. Outdoor viewing party starting at 5:00. That'll take you through the game. They're not shutting her down once the game starts. They're going through the game of a watch party. They're on Kellogg between 5th and 7th Street. Go on down there. West 7th is going to be electric. It's going to be so much fun. If you're not going down there and you don't have tickets, you have an extended pregame starting at 7 o'clock with myself and Pat Micheletti. So hopefully you can join us for that. KFAN.com/watch. I think Halvey's going to stream it. We got Brandon Molesky joining us in studio at 7 o'clock. Joe O'Donnell and Tom Reed from the Al Shaver Press Box about 7:25. And then again, the puck drops at 8:10. A huge Game 3 coming up in this round 2 matchup between the Wild and Avalanche. It's going to be a blast in St. Paul. Hopefully you'll join us on the radio. The Schloss is next as we wrap up Beyond the Pond.
This is Beyond the Pond.
Top 4 answers on the board. What cereal brand mascot would win in a bar fight?
Steve, we're going to go with Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch.
On the Fan.
So I think the key for tonight's game is staying out of trouble and getting good, clean shots. Oh, wait, those are my Timberwolves notes. Okay, so I think the key for tonight's game is staying out of penalty trouble and getting good, clean shots.
Very creative.
Thanks.
Talk back. You're welcome. Thank you for your input and thank you for your interaction. Much more of great stuff coming up like that later on tonight. We can work talkbacks into the extended pregame starting at 7 o'clock as we get ready for Game 3 between the Wild and Colorado Avalanche. But now we turn our attention to our buddy Brad Schlossman of the Grand Forks Herald. The Schloss.
Yeah, but who?
The Bob McKenzie of college hockey.
You always disrespect him.
That is Brad, of all the things I do in this world, one of them is not disrespect you. I think we can all agree upon that, right?
No, I think that's up for debate, don't you, Schloss?
Did I not hit the right button? Or did Schloss go away again? Boy, I wish they'd get...
I'm
back.
There
it is.
I'm back, guys.
Yeah, well, he hung. I'm glad you hung up on Kevin.
You did not. You muted us because you were ripping us behind our back, and then you forgot to unmute us. But welcome to the show. I was very much in favor of having you on, especially when I go to the Grand Forks Herald and I see this column unpacking the changes coming to college hockey, and it is a meaty column that you put together on your fantastic website / your paper, I guess you'd call it.
What's happening right now in the college hockey world? It actually in the college athletics world, I probably should say, and hockey is just part of it. And I think the biggest change going on right now is the new age-based eligibility system. I really don't think this impacts other sports quite as much as hockey, because other sports, you have 4 years of eligibility. You can defer your eligibility for 1 year, which really not a lot of people do in the other sports. But college hockey, you can defer your eligibility for 3 years. Mm-hmm. It's only men's college hockey and men's and women's skiing where you can go 3 years instead of 1. And that's used quite frequently, as we know, in the college hockey world, where players are playing juniors until they're 20, 21 years old. Well, the new proposed rule is that everybody gets 5 years, but your clock starts when you graduate high school. There will be some, if you graduate high school late, it starts when you're 19 years old. So it's a little different. You're not going to see the 21-year-old freshman, and if you do, they're only going to have, maybe 2 years of eligibility left. So it will make college hockey a little bit younger.
Well, will this change? Will it get rectified? That's the question I have.
I don't think so. I think there are a lot of college hockey coaches who think they are going to get it changed, but this is not a rule that's going through. I think they're trying to argue this is why this system has worked for college hockey. And the NCAA is just trying to stop losing lawsuits. So even if college hockey likes the system that it's going by, they're saying, hey, we're just losing all these eligibility lawsuits. And this new proposed rule, they feel, is going to help them win more of those eligibility-based lawsuits. There are no more carve-outs for red shirts. That's been a thing where football players could play 4 games and not lose eligibility. And there's medical red shirts. There was a tight end for the University of Miami 2 years ago who was in his 9th year. And I think some of those things where they've made so many carve-outs, they're just eliminating all of that, and they feel that this new system is something they can defend. So while college hockey coaches may go and say, hey, we need this system, they're just going to say, that's great, but
sorry,
we're trying not to lose lawsuits, so we're going to go with this system anyway. I just have a hard time seeing hockey, as much as it may argue against the changes. I don't think the NCAA is going to budge on it, and it's not because they're not sympathetic to hockey coaches' cases. It's because this is strictly born out of all the lawsuits that are coming for eligibility.
So, for all intent and purposes, has college hockey just said, okay, we'll go with what you are telling us to do, or is there going to be a fight? on our hands?
Well, I think it probably depends on who you talk to. There are some people who are saying we are going to fight this. We're going to go and argue our case and, do whatever we can. And I think other people are looking at those people saying, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Let's see how this goes. So, I think there are a lot of people who think that there's no chance of arguing it, that this is the way it's going to be. There have been a lot of things written about it. I'm actually of the opinion it's not going to be as drastic of a change as everyone else thinks.
Okay.
I think we're going to see a lot of players come in at age 19 with 4 years of eligibility remaining, and we're seeing a lot of that right now. I don't think everyone's going to bring everyone in at 18 for 5 years. I do think we're going to see a lot of 19 for 4.
Okay.
And that's not drastically different. We are going to eliminate the 20 and 21-year-olds. Or, they're going to get a little, if they do come in at 20 or 21, they're going to have 3 or 2 years left. And right now there are players that need that 2 extra years or whatever. Fewer players might need those extra years because it's getting collectively younger. So more young players will probably be ready to play at the college level under the new system. So it'll be interesting.
College hockey is getting so good and so talented and so, all that. Do you think that the level of play will go down with this or not?
I don't. I think a lot of the best players, I was looking at the rosters, and there are a few guys who were really good players this year that would have aged out under the new system. The most prominent of all would have been TJ Hughes for Michigan. He would have been, this would have been his first year outside of hockey. But then I start looking up and down the rosters, and I'm like, all these guys would have been eligible. And then I even question, how much does this hurt some of the teams that are, maybe not the traditional powerhouses? And the teams I looked at were like a Dartmouth. They made their first NCAA tournament since 1980. I went up and down Dartmouth's roster, and there were only a couple guys on that team that wouldn't have been eligible under the new system. All their best players, like both Cleves, Stavroff, Foley, Crotto, all these guys would have been eligible. So that's where I'm like, it's a change. There's no doubt about it. I just don't think it's this existential threat that everyone else does.
Lots of bullet points in this article. Again, Brad Schlossman, Grand Forks Herald, the article unpacking the changes coming to college hockey. Another one was alluded to by John Butchergrass on, I think it was Spittin' Chicklets, and you mentioned it in this article, the whispers of college hockey breaking away from the NCAA and putting together their own governing body. How would that work? Is that something that you think is actually a thing that is conceivable, or does that it seems rather far-fetched to me, but what about you?
Yeah, right now it is far-fetched, I think. This is something that's been mentioned with other sports as well. I think most prominently college football. And, I talked to a bunch of administrators, and they did indicate they think this is a sport where it could actually work, where basically you need to create some sort of governing body. You need some sort of financial backing. And you'd need a lot of agreements between teams. And I'm like, these schools can't even agree how to play the NCAA tournament right now. It's a long road to get there, but they're starting to talk about it right now. I don't think we're anywhere even near the vicinity of that. But as changes continue to occur within college athletics, I think it's something worth storing away way in the back of your mind, let's see what happens in the next 5 years and go from there. But yeah, when John Butchergrass brought that up, he did not bring that up out of nowhere. I think a lot of fans were like, this is a crazy idea. I'm like, nah, actually people are talking about this idea. It's just so preliminary right now. It's not worth getting worked up about, but it is something I think worth keeping way in the back of your mind.
Okay,
you got one more, Patrick.
Yeah, I got one more quick before we go, because unfortunately we got to cut you short today. The list that you sent me here, I have a job for you. Okay, the list that you sent me or that we discussed, I need you to text me the potential Porter Martone player. Okay, and his leaving after 1 year. Got it?
Of the guys coming in this upcoming year.
Of the guys, that we discussed, okay?
Okay.
All right, so that's your job.
Yeah, there will be some of that. All
right, and I just need one player, so...
All right, so you've got homework.
You look at that list
I got homework.
that we discussed, and send that to me.
Schloss, it was bad clock management on my part. You're always a bevy of information. Unfortunately, we do have to cut you short this week, but you know that your phone will be ringing here very soon. And a lot of the time it's off the air and it's between you and Micheletti. You can't get him to hang up.
He's trying to suck up to you because he doesn't introduce you as the Bob McKenzie.
The Bob McKenzie of college hockey.
And I apologize for him, Schloss.
Thanks, Schloss.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's our buddy, Brad Schlossman, the Bob McKenzie of college hockey from the Grand Forks Herald. Go check out his article, Unpacking the Changes Coming to College Hockey, GrandForksHerald.com. We got about a minute here. What needs to happen in Game 3 for the Wild to get back in this series?
Lots of energy and take it to them. And you know what? As our talkback caller from Farmington said, what'd he say?
Be game breakers, not game...
No, you are playmakers, but be
game breakers.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right, so we'll do this again in a few hours.
I look forward to it, yeah.
This is going to be a blast. That is, of course, the voice of Pat Micheletti. Halvey will be there tonight. Brett Blakemore should be back next week. He's traveling the world, but great job by Sam filling in his stead.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Feel free to chime in anytime.
I know you're a huge hockey fan. He's the Timberwolves season ticket holder, I find out from Double T and Davey.
Sorry about your loss, Sam.
Yeah, tough night for sure. But Sam, thank you very much. Yep. He did a great job. Alex, thank you for bringing in your father, and thanks for listening. Again, we're back on the air tonight. It's a 7 o'clock extended pregame. Puck drops just after 8 o'clock on KFAN. Thanks for listening to another edition.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.